are set to move up to number 1 if they can beat Oklahoma. Hello again, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer. Coach Mike Krzyzewski. What does he think about being the top-rated college basketball team in the land? Well, Billy, we put that question to Mike, and here's what he said.
If we beat Oklahoma and somebody ranks us 1, then that's great. But our main concern is where we're going to be seated in the NCAA tournament and also how we finish in our own conference. Number 1 means that you're beautiful for this week, and we'll see who's going to be the most beautiful next week. So it's a momentary thing.
Billy, the coaches are calm. What about the players in number 1?
Well, I think that adds a lot of pressure for them, Brent. But I really believe that Mike believes exactly what he said there. And since we have a national championship that you have to win on the court, nobody really worries about the polls at this stage.
All right, Gary, coming up, it's Oklahoma and Duke. Let's go back to you in Ann Arbor. The gentle rolling hills of North Carolina make a perfect backdrop for back roads that are lined with the sweet aroma of pine trees. And in this tranquil setting is one of the most respected academic institutions in America, Duke University. The students take their studies seriously here, and many will go on to hold major leadership roles after graduation. Yet when it comes to college basketball, some of America's top scholars ascend to an even higher dimension. The preparation began last Thursday morning as serious students camped out for tickets. The party continued building on through Thursday and Friday nights. And now the rush is on. Their mission to become number 1. Sooners of Oklahoma, the Big 8 Conference, coming here to play the Duke Blue Devils. And the student body dreaming of perhaps a visit to the Final Four about a month from now in Dallas, Texas. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I am Brent Musburger. The Blue Devils are ranked number 2. They could move up to number 1 because of what happened just down Tobacco Road a ways on Thursday night. North Carolina ran into this man, Lenny Bias, out of Maryland. Before it was over, he would throw in 35. This the big moment of the game. He hits outside, rushes the inbounds pass, steals it, jams it back home on the 4-point play. Then Kenny Smith turns his back on the inbounds pass, and Gatlin burns him for the final 2 points. Is Lefty Driesell happy about finally beating Dean Smith in Chapel Hill? You bet he is, because through the years he lost so many close ones. But this time, the left-hander prevails. Pleasure again to be working alongside Billy Packer. And Billy, you're so familiar with these teams in the ACC. What about the Blue Devils of Duke?
Well, I think it's a team that does not have a power player in the middle, as everybody knows, but they have great chemistry. It's an extremely intelligent ball club, listens to their coach very well, and probably has been as consistent as any team in college basketball this year.
And what does Billy Tubbs bring in here with his Sooners of Oklahoma?
Well, it's a run-shoot type basketball team. I think it plays better defense than it gets credit for because it has outstanding athletes. Billy is the type of coach that doesn't mind going into a hostile environment, and I think that's one of the reasons his team will perform fairly well here today.
The Sooners hope to show you this afternoon that there is life after Wayman Tisdale. The Blue Devils are hopeful of becoming number 1. It's coming up.
CBS Sports presents NCAA basketball. Today's game between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Duke.
Well, let's take a look now at the starting 5 for these two teams. Oklahoma on the top. Kennedy and Alry, 2 fine scores at that forward spot. Bowie and Henderson. Henderson for Duke, playing his best basketball since he enrolled here 4 years ago. At center, it'll be Johnson and Billis for the Blue Devils. Then at guard, Davis runs this Sooner attack, and he's matched against Amaker. At the other guard, 2 fine shooters, McAllister and Dawkins. Dawkins, the All-American, who just a short time ago had number 24 retired. Only the 3rd time at Duke that they have retired a uniform number. The other 2, number 10 of the legendary Dick Grote, and number 43, Mike Jaminski, who is now, of course, in the NBA. So Dawkins now joins that select group, Billy.
It's kind of amazing to me that they haven't retired Art Heyman's number. Art was a National Player of the Year and certainly one of the great players, not only in the history of Duke, but also the Atlantic Coast Conference.
tip control by Duke. Amaker, number 4. Keep an eye on him. He's one of the slickest point guards in America. He dishes out all the points. Allery, a fine shooter. Misses his first shot. Billis, second chance, came up, and Johnson knocked it free.
Johnny Dawkins, one of the great offensive rebounders at the guard position. He has incredible leaping ability, but he also has an instinct for the ball on the offensive glass.
The Sooners will put it up in a hurry, and from any place on the floor, they're not afraid of taking the 20-footer. Davis, their point guard out of the Washington, D.C. area, brings it out. Bowie, who will play both guard and forward. Davis gets free on the penetration. Missing the shot, battling, and Henderson rebound.
That was great weak side defense by Jay Billis. When he saw Davis cut into the basket, he came all the way across the lane. Great man-to-man by both teams.
Dangerous pass, they get away with it. Henderson.
Well, Brent, we can expect a score up in the 80s or maybe even the 90s from these two teams, so don't be surprised to see them get off pretty quickly. In Oklahoma's case, they can't fall way behind as they have in recent ball games, down 18-1 against Missouri.
Johnson and the Sooners are on the board.
They're actually playing Bowie on Dawkins, getting an awful lot of size on Johnny Dawkins. McAllister over on Henderson, so a little bit of a change.
Henderson, he is fouled by McAllister, number 32.
Oklahoma actually, with Bowie, they have themselves a situation where 3 guards on the court because Bowie can play small forward or either of the guard positions. Very versatile ball player.
2 shots.
David Henderson, a great athlete who had probably was the best college player in the country during the month of December. Was out of sight in the NIT preseason tournament. MVP, as a matter of fact.
6-2, Duke with the lead.
Picking up full court.
And it's Bowie handling the ball, coming up on Henderson. Henderson keeps him over to the sideline. Kennedy has not handled the ball much here so far in the early going. They finally get it to him, and a quick turnaround. Misses. And underneath, there's a pushing foul. Johnson, number 55, their center, is assessed his first personal of the game.
Johnson has really worked at getting himself in shape. He's a lot trimmer than he was a year ago. It's helped him perform so much better. Full court pressure now by Oklahoma.
And Dawkins brings it up against the Heat.
Pretty difficult to...
Great penetration by Dawkins to the glass. And a foul underneath.
Pretty difficult to press the Duke club with 2 outstanding ball handlers, plus a 3rd ball handler in Henderson to help out. Johnny Dawkins breaks all the way to the lane. Is a left-hander, very difficult shot. The push from behind by Jay Billis.
Good view of the Blue Devil defense in their home whites.
Davis, of course, a D.C. product. He's used to playing against the amateurs and the Johnny Dawkins.
Bowie. Oklahoma keeps it alive. McAllister underneath. Great effort by McAllister, number 32. Hammered away.
There's a case Johnny Dawkins couldn't get in a block-out position. McAllister's an excellent athlete also.
Henderson to the glass. Quickly to McAllister at the other end for the Sooners.
That's Oklahoma basketball right there, Brent. Team that's averaging 92 points a ball game gets a lot of shots in a hurry. The 24-second clock wouldn't even bother these teams. Kennedy, a good defensive job on Allery, because Allery will put up that quick...
Great switch on the dribble by Dawkins. Penetrates to the basket.
Big-time play right there. Two years ago, Duke had a hard time playing straight man-to-man, but now they play a real tough, hard-nosed man-to-man defense.
Oklahoma's ball.
Davis will have to be careful.
Coach Billy Tubbs standing up in front of the Sooner bench. They've lost only 4 times this year, all on the road in the Big East. And they play Kansas at home Monday night in a big one.
Billy coming off his second straight Big 8 Coach of the Year award.
Amaker got it out of bounds and off of Davis. It'll go to the Devils. He forces the turnover. Coach Tubbs, who has restored Oklahoma to prominence, and Coach Mike Krzyzewski, who has done such a fine job here with the Duke Blue Devils.
That pass, Brentwood, really the distance was not good at all. You try to throw one that far, you're in trouble.
Now he loses it, but Henderson was right there.
Big break for Duke. Oklahoma's got to start getting the ball inside to Kennedy a little bit.
Now, that's what Duke does as well as any team in the country defensively. They are always in the passing lanes. And it was Billis, number 21, who knocked the ball out of bounds. We got a timeout in Durham.
Marvis Frazier and Bone Crusher Smith will tangle in heavyweight action. Plus the World Speed Skating Championships tomorrow on CBS Sports Sunday.
Our score here, Duke leading Oklahoma. Let's get to the scoreboard right away and get you up to date. A shocker. Bradley headed for the NCAA tournament. Louisville coming into tournament form. And look at Virginia Tech on the losing end. Virginia, they'll head into the NCAA. Michigan rallies. Many of you saw that game. Iowa State a winner. And TCU in the big one in the Southwest. A 1-point winner over the Longhorns. Here we got a turnover. And the Devils come back. Amaker with a pull-up jump shot.
Tommy Amaker is as good as anybody around and coming down in the break and knowing when to pull up and take that jump shot. He very seldom gets himself caught going too far. Almost a turnover by Davis.
McAllister. There was pushing underneath. He was trying to clear Allery out.
Oklahoma really trying to get it back too quickly here. Have to start getting the ball inside to Kennedy a little bit, get their inside game going. Kennedy got the good body by Allery and then pushed him out on the second shot.
Duke has hit its last 4 shots.
Oklahoma going a little zone here.
Billis rejected, but it's goaltending. Score it. That's 5 in a row. And we've got a substitute coming in the game for the Sooners of Oklahoma, Dave Seeger, a sophomore forward from California.
Had a pretty good day in practice. Is known for his defensive ability. Who he's going to sit. Key for Oklahoma, Brent, is start getting that ball down inside a little bit. They're just trying to do it on the perimeter. That's their game, but it's not working. Allery doing a good job on Kennedy. One of the reasons they can't get it inside.
Johnson.
Had Danny Ferry on him, used his body well to get that shot off. Johnson's had some big games throughout his career. Been a good TV player. Allery will take that jumper.
Forced back out by Seeger, and they bring it deep to Amaker to reset.
Beautiful pass.
Inside to Ferry, the freshman who is fouled. He'll come to the free throw line for a pair, and it is on Kennedy. Number 30, his second personal.
Fred, on that one, the entire zone from Oklahoma was looking for Amaker just to push the ball out on the wing. He was able to get it right down through the middle of the zone. He really knows how to get all 4 teammates involved in the offense, and that's what makes him such an outstanding point guard.
Billy King, number 55, on the floor there in the middle of your picture a moment ago. He has come off Coach Krzyzewski's bench here for Duke. King, Allery, Ferry at the line. Dawkins and Amaker are Duke's 5 on the floor.
Ferry had a solid game last week on television against Notre Dame. His big save on the end line might have been one of the key plays of the game. Didn't miss a shot.
Ferry rattles in the free throws, and Duke builds a 10-point lead here early in Durham. And a win would boost them surely into the number 1 spot after North Carolina was upset by Maryland. Great play. They picked off. Davis couldn't hit the field goal. Here comes Dawkins with his speed. Watch him. Hammered to the floor. He'll come to the free throw line.
Well, Dawkins does have blazing speed, but you can see McAllister's a pretty fair athlete also. Pass goes under. Billy King goes up, does a good job defensively, and then Johnny Dawkins takes off. McAllister goes with him step for step.
Oklahoma comes comes in here somewhat discouraged, having lost that game to Nebraska last week, one that they fully expected to win in the Big 8 Conference. Now, of course, they're running into a buzzsaw that seldom loses at home. And here in the early going, the Sooners under Billy Tubbs are finding out just how tough Coach Krzyzewski's team is. One of the things about Duke to keep in mind, they have not played a bad basketball game this year. They have lost to North Carolina and Georgia Tech, but in both of those games, they were not badly hammered by either victor. Kennedy maneuvering. Good defense by Allery, who rebounds. Outlet to Amaker. Amaker going for the layup.
He short-stepped that one. Instead of taking a normal stride, he took a little jump step and was able to go ahead and get the shot off. Smart play. Duke really picking up on defense.
On the turnover, it'll go over to Duke. And Oklahoma must dig out of a big hole.
Well, we talked about them being down 18-1 against Missouri. They were able to make a comeback. They were way down against Kansas and also came back fairly well.
When you watch Duke practice, as we did yesterday, one of the things that you are struck by is how disciplined this team is. This is a senior-dominated team. Dawkins is their scoring leader. He puts in 2 more. This is a class basketball team. This team could wind up in Dallas.
Billy Tubbs trying anything he can do to go ahead and get his club moving. Johnson's been the only guy who can score.
Now let's see, score the basket.
Well, now wait a minute. If he's going to call that on Tommy Amaker, the foul would have taken place way before the shot. Now watch this. Tommy Amaker is going to come from the weak side. There's the foul. Well, you really got to be stretching to call that continuation at the college level.
That's the old NBA rule.
Yeah, there it was.
That one, Coach. Now Duke goes back to the bench again, and we see that Strickland, Kevin Strickland, the sophomore guard who is 6'5". The state of North Carolina checks in, and Coach Krzyzewski over there with Allery. Interesting story about Allery. He was not playing with a lot of intensity earlier this year. They had a team meeting. Coach Krzyzewski wrote on the board point number 4 about how to get better. He just wrote the word Allery, and he told him in front of the team, "We think we'll be better if you play harder." He said, "Yes, I think the young man was mad at me, but he responded." He said, "We have quality individuals, and they learn how to deal with criticism, and we communicate with one another."
Johnson, the only guy helping Oklahoma on the offensive end right now, made all-tourney as a freshman, the all-Big 8 tourney, so he's got some ability.
That's their first miss in 8 shots. And a 2-shot foul being assessed against Billy King, number 55.
We're going to see a little elbow throwing possibly here. There's King actually being held, and there he goes and gets in a little punch. Intentional foul. Going to shoot 2 on the other end.
Student body will let you know here, won't they? Whether they agree with the call.
Billy King saying he was cold on his shirt before he made threw the little jab. Seeger redshirted last year. Looked very good in practice yesterday. Nice touch.
It's 23-12. 12:50 to go, first half.
Oklahoma staying right in that 2-3 zone.
Billis had a tough time getting a handle, but he came back with the field goal.
Smart move by Billy King to not touch that ball while it was up on the rim. Just can't get Kennedy free. He's open now. They don't get in the pass in time. There he is.
And he was fouled on the pass as it was shipped in, and Danny Ferry's first person.
Brent, one of the things that Mike Krzyzewski has been able to do very well is develop a bench as this season moved on. Everybody knew that Duke had some players, they just hadn't had playing time, and he had Jay Billis hurt at the beginning of the year. That allowed Ferry to get an awful lot of playing time. Now he uses Ferry off the bench, but King and Strickland have done well, and he's got Quinn Snyder to bring off the bench, so he's about 9 deep. Duke man-to-man on the out-of-bounds play.
Knocked away. And again, Duke gets a hand on the ball so frequently as Dawkins did that time.
Kennedy made a very good pivot roll to the back of the basket.
Bowie, and he threw it right to Ferry. Here's the turnover. Henderson goes to Strickland. The easy field goal was not there. Duke pulls it back. On the penetration, Henderson misses, but Duke puts it back in.
Good job by Strickland, who has been on that bench and hasn't been doing much lately, but now it looks like he's into this ball game.
Johnson battles his way down the baseline. Knocked free by Billis. It's off to Ferry. Gives it back. But there was a whistle, no basket.
Johnny Dawkins got away with a walk on that last play. But they really exploded out on the break.
The foul goes against number 35, Danny Ferry. That's 2. We've got a timeout. 27-12. We'll be right back. The Final Four is not that far off here on CBS, so as we go around the rim, we asked Bobby Crimmins, select your final 4 teams. Who's going to wind up in Dallas?
Bobby Crimmins, Georgia Tech. Right now today, teams I think would have a great chance to go to the Final Four include Kansas, either Duke or North Carolina, Syracuse, either Memphis State or Louisville, and finally Oklahoma or Michigan.
Hey, we told him 4, Billy.
And Bobby went to South Carolina. Nobody ever said he was a math whiz.
Allister bringing it down for the Sooners. Davis trying to get inside. Sooners battle to keep it alive, but it went out of bounds.
Brent, I'd say right now Oklahoma down by 15. They've got to get some half-court offense going by getting the ball inside. I said that at the start of the show, and right now they still haven't devised a way to get the ball inside, either to Johnson or Kennedy, and that's got to be their strength for this game right now.
We have 6 fouls against Oklahoma and 5 against Duke, so they will not shoot on that foul by Davis.
Duke, as you can see, going inside. Oklahoma getting nothing inside whatsoever, and they do have the horses to go inside with it. Oklahoma gives up a 46% shooting for their opponents. As you see, Duke shooting in the 70s now. That's pretty high.
Billy Tubbs' team shooting 5 of 14. They begin this game. Duke is 11 of 15. They've hit 73% here in the early going. And Allery. McAllister.
That's his shot.
And Billis was coming up over the top, and he fouled Seager. On the scoreboard, Marquette, hoping to get into the NCAA, wins a big one against Dayton. Second half, Eddie Sutton and the Wildcats leading Georgia by 2. And Army over Navy at the half.
At this point, it looks like Navy and Richmond both have a shot to get in from their lead. That'd be quite an upset there for the West Pointers.
Well, let's see. Navy upset Army's football team, so maybe Army's basketball team can repay the favor. We, of course, have an Army connection here because Mike Krzyzewski played for Bob Knight at West Point and was later an assistant coach. There's a great story about Krzyzewski and Knight. They were attempting to stall the ball on an NIT. Now, Bobby Knight told us in Indiana that he called a timeout, brought Krzyzewski over, and he said, Krzyzewski, if you shoot, you'll never get your commission. I asked Coach Mike if that's how it went. He laughed. He said, Bobby's cleaning that story up. He brought me over and he said, Krzyzewski, if you shoot, I'll break your blankety-blank arm. Who do you believe, Billy?
I think I go along with Mike's version of the story. That was against the University of South Carolina, coached by Frank McGuire, was one of the real top teams that has been in the ACC, and Army came away with a huge upset. There's the ball.
Kennedy, high in the air on the jumper.
It's got to be the ante. Full court zone press now. Tough to press Duke when you get a guy like Henderson. And
Billis is open.
so tough to press him. You've got so many guys who can penetrate. Henderson, Dawkins, and Amaker.
I think it's pretty much of a clinic. Duke so far not throwing any pressure at all about battling for number 1. Defensively, they're giving themselves offensive opportunities, and they're taking advantage. Short that time, but Amaker missing, and underneath is Allery. They are also out hustling Oklahoma. you had to pick a player of the year so far for Krzyzewski's team, it of course would be Dawkins. And we asked Mike what Johnny meant to the Blue Devils.
Well, we start everything with our guards, our pressure defense, our motion offense, the running. He and Amaker, with their quickness and Johnny's shooting ability, create an environment that's very aggressive, both offensively and defensively. And we've given him an ability to create. Like, I don't want to have our system play defense on him. I want Johnny to have some freedom, and he doesn't abuse it.
Billy, how does Krzyzewski resemble Knight in his approach to the game?
Well, I think they're both real students of the ball game. I think their personalities are extremely different, but I think they both create discipline in their own way.
Great pass by Davis, who penetrated to Johnson. And Johnson, one of the few offensive players for Oklahoma here this afternoon, is hit 4 of 6 from the field.
Davis now playing against Johnny Dawkins. He played against Dawkins in high school and feels that he can play fairly well against him.
Henderson and Billis lost control on the far side, and now the Sooners can put together field goals. They will try to get a spring going.
Little spread offense.
There's Johnson again. Didn't get the bounce. Allery rebounded.
Allery moved Kennedy right out of there. Kennedy has not been aggressive enough playing against Allery. Davis trying to pump Dawkins.
Amaker.
A silent offensive player who has the skills.
McAllister missed everything. Only one pass that time and a shot, and the crowd starts chanting air ball. Allery using the glass.
What's hurting Oklahoma, Brett, when they come down and take those type of shots? They have no defensive floor balance, nor do they have any weak side rebounding. And although they're a run-shoot team, that'll get you in a lot of trouble against a club as experienced as Duke. Same situation there.
Look at nothing but white jerseys underneath. If you're going to shoot that far out, you better try to seal up the glass, because you're not going to hit 50 or 60% from out there. Amaker on the move inside. Offensive foul is called.
I think if I was Kennedy, I'd call timeout and introduce myself to the other members of the team.
And tomorrow we'll be up in Syracuse. 30,000 fans will be in the Carrier Dome to watch a big one in the Big East. Georgetown and Syracuse tomorrow afternoon on CBS.
Danny Ferry on Kennedy now. That they're playing an open offense, almost like a four corners situation. Trying to spread the Duke defense out a little bit, take advantage of Davis's quickness.
That's the first foul on Dawkins, who joins Amaker over with Coach Krzyzewski for a brief chat. And King has joined them too. And it's going to be a long afternoon here for Coach Tubbs. It's 37-16 with 8 minutes to go in the first half. And what do you think he's drinking from at that jar?
I don't know. You know, Billy was 9 and 18 his first year at Oklahoma, coming off those great teams he had down at Lamar. Since that time, he's 129 and 35, so he's won more than his share.
They seldom lose 2 in a row, but they could here if they don't stage a rally. Inside to Allery.
Beautiful head pump
And
fake.
Duke is on a 16-4 run in the last 4.5 minutes.
Well, here's that open offense again. Nobody playing in the post, just a little four corners.
And there, Kennedy comes away with the field goal. Kennedy on the afternoon is 2 of 4 from the field.
Well, Kennedy and Johnson, when they've touched the ball, have been very effective.
Bowie, for example, is 0 of 2. Davis 0 of 3, and McAllister 2 of 6. Good save by Oklahoma. Lead pass to McAllister. Ships in the middle. Johnson.
Excellent fast break opportunity there off the errant pass. Oklahoma shows they can run the court.
Ferry misfired. Bowie tracks it down.
I didn't understand that shot, that he lost the ball, I guess, in his hands.
McAllister. And it's 39-22.
transition team, Brent. Looks like they're getting a little tired now. All their players have bent over, gasping for breath. Duke looks a lot fresher.
King penetrates, has it knocked away by Kennedy, and Bowie was there, and Bowie has assessed the personal foul, his first.
Brent, we have an interesting situation here coming up with Billy King on the line. He's only shooting 49% from the foul line. Had a lot of difficulty there, and as you know, yesterday when we were talking to Mike Krzyzewski, I asked him about that big play last week against Notre Dame, where he let Billy King stay in the game, even though he had a chance to substitute him, knowing Notre Dame would probably foul King if they got the opportunity, which they did. They fouled King, he missed a shot, and then Notre Dame came down and couldn't score at the end. But I wondered why he didn't take King out, and I thought his answer was interesting, and he said, I want him to go to that line because it's going to happen somewhere in the NCAA tournament, and I don't want him to be afraid of it.
Kennedy. Tapped up and in by Johnson, who has been the Sooners' biggest offensive weapon.
Mike Krzyzewski going to call a timeout. Very upset with his team's blocking out.
Sports. During timeouts, television folks always start talking about what should Oklahoma do. Well, Mike Francesa, one of our editorial board members, had the best comment. He said, switch to the wishbone. Bring Barry Switzer in.
Here's some trivia. This fella you're looking at right there can say he's the only man in the world ever to do something, Brent. You know what it is? He played on 2 different teams in the national championship. Played at Indiana under Bobby Knight and with Bill Foster here at Duke. Only man in the history of the game.
Duke, of course, trying to get back along with Indiana in the Big Ten. Barry.
Oklahoma's starting to go to the boards a lot better right now. You got to remember, this team can explode. They have that ability to score in a hurry. Watson in the game now, giving him a little bit more size on the boards.
Allister saves it.
Barry not afraid to go down on the floor for a big guy. Shot clock down inside 10.
Bowie. This could be their run in the first half. It's now back to 39-26 at 5:08, and Oklahoma has put together a 10-2 streak. Strickland. And a chance to make it 12-2. Bowie gets it off, and Johnson adds another one. He is now 7 of 10 from the field here in the first half.
Picking up a lot of confidence in this run, have it down to 11. Mike Krzyzewski has really gone to the bench.
Dawkins coming in, and he drew the foul from Bowie. Bowie's second, and Krzyzewski will send in Allery along with Henderson and Amaker, so he will return his starting lineup.
Johnny Dawkins with that great quickness. He put that double clutch move on, little change of pace, and just caught Bowie standing still. Mackin High School product. Reminds you a lot of Dave Bing, both in style of play, and his body's about the same. He's got that incredible quickness. Bing, of course, had that great professional career, and I'm sure Johnny Dawkins will also. Played in the World University Games a few years ago. Was an alternate on the Olympic team.
Kennedy. Misfired, and it went out of bounds, and go to the Devils.
Won't see Kennedy do that often. That was his shot.
Next Saturday, our doubleheader, Notre Dame and Marquette. Will Marquette make the NCAA tournament? That's a big one. And some of you will also see Boston College against Villanova. That will start off the afternoon. And then, of course, we will have Illinois, Georgia Tech later in the day from the Omni in Atlanta.
Illinois just can't seem to win those tight one-point games.
Traveling is the call. It goes over to Oklahoma.
Had that controversial call and the change of the backcourt violation. against Indiana the other night. Indiana doing a super job now, up in first place in the Big Ten.
Johnson, and there's a foul. Score the 2. And David Johnson continues to add to his impressive total.
See the play on the inside. Kennedy trying to get position. Pushing off. Both players pushing pretty hard. Kennedy rides Henderson right out from underneath the basket. That was the cause of the foul.
So coming at the line will be Henderson, but Johnson's field goal counted. He is 8 of 11 with 17 points. It's an 11-point Duke lead at the 4-minute mark here in the first half.
You know, Brett, at the top of the show, you had Mike Krzyzewski talking about the polls, and I honestly believe that most of the coaches that are up in that top 10 right now are more interested in their conference play and the seeding for the NCAA tournament. But really, when you get down to it, somebody is going to vote, and if Duke continues to play this impressively, you'd have to expect them to move up to number 1.
Watson handed off to McAllister. And underneath the glass, cleaning up that time, was Chuck Watson, 6'7" junior forward out of Indianapolis.
Got it down to 10, have a chance to go in at half, getting it under the double-digit mark. It would be quite an accomplishment. Back to man-to-man. Zone didn't work.
Mallory. Phillips battles. Chance for the three-pointer.
Johnson had bad defensive positioning there for his rebounding, and then really made the critical mistake when he reached in. He doesn't block out. You notice him watching the ball instead of getting his body on Billis. Billis was able to sneak in the inside, and then Johnson compounds his mistake by reaching in for the three-point play opportunity.
Johnson again.
Kansas City, Kansas product. Was known for his fastball in high school as a pitcher, but evidently going out to the
Mallory has it blocked by Watson, and the Sooners slowly trying to creep back in this one.
Not a good
Away,
pass.
great play by Allery on a bad pass. Sooners ball, however.
Watson actually on that occasion was asking not to have the pass thrown into him. Mike Krzyzewski being warned by the officials, they want no more action from him on the sideline. They're looking for a tee.
They can cut it to 8. Watson maneuvers. The red jerseys are hitting the glass now with some authority.
That was Johnson again. You can see the defensive intensity picking up by Oklahoma. They're gaining confidence for this run.
Henderson. And again, Oklahoma has a rebound. Seeger has helped turn this game around. Number 44 with the ball. Ever since he came off the bench, the Sooners have been playing well. Battling for the ball was Johnson, could not save it out of it. Kentucky up by 6 in the second half. And Navy, Army.
I think
now Navy's right back in it.
Johnson just wanted a little rest there, Brent. He's had to go the entire way. He's asking to come out. Johnson just exhausted. He has really played a tough first half. He's given everything a coach could ask. In the last 6 minutes, Duke has been outscored 21-5.
Johnson with 21 points. His career high is 26. And it's saved. They get it back to Dawkins, and finally Oklahoma comes away with it.
It was Seeger again with a good solid rebound.
McAllister pulls it up, and now they have cut that lead down to 6 points for Coach Tubbs.
It has been the pattern of Oklahoma's play in the last couple of weeks. Ball behind, big, and then make their run.
Knocked away. Allery went out after it, but it's Duke's ball.
See some good holding on the inside on Mark Allery trying to break away. Anthony Martin.
Amaker will dish off, and Dawkins. Foul is on Seeger.
That's a tough shot that Johnny Dawkins just had. He got the good feed from Amaker, but that little 10-12 footer from the sideline is a tough one to make.
King returning for the Devils. Duke led in this game by 23 points early on, and Oklahoma has rallied, and they trail by 6.
The Big 8 has had some crazy games this year anyway. Teams coming back from huge deficits. Take Missouri. They lost 166 to Kansas, and in the same week turned around and beat Oklahoma 101-88. Pretty hard to figure the league out. Want to think about getting one shot here or holding it down as far as they can. They made a nice comeback.
McAllister. And they are still coming back.
Excellent follow through by Tim McAllister. Duke will go for one shot.
They have hit only 2 of their last 11.
You know, sometimes, Brent, you get that big lead early, and it seems so easy that you lose your concentration, and that's what happened to Duke. Shot clock is turned off.
Dawkins was off balance. King, and they get a break. The ball went right into King's hands, and he creates the field goal at the end of the first half. But the story is the fact that the Sooners, who were being blown out by 23, have come back and trail by 8. And coming up at halftime, we will take a look at Wake Forest, where Billy went down to talk to a student athlete, and the coaches poll, who's the best dunker, and we'll talk to Coach Tubbs live and find out how he orchestrated that comeback. It's all coming up when we continue in a moment. It charges back on the strength of a 24-9 run in the last 8 minutes here in Durham. No wonder they're all basketball fans down here. They started at a very young age.
Kid was dressed for it, wasn't he?
Now the Sooners in red going back to work. McAllister is 32. Kennedy is 30. Watson will start the second half. Bowie and Johnson are also there. They misfire their first shot. And Bowie is tied up with Amaker, and it'll go the other way. A possession arrow gives it to the Blue Devils. So on the next tie-up, it'll go to the Sooners.
You know, Brent, I thought that Duke lost a lot of their consistency with their multiple substitutions there in the first half. They were just blowing everything away. But one of the things those substitutions allowed them to do is to be fresh here for the second half.
Henderson misfired, and Oklahoma gave them but one shot that time. They come back down with that rebound.
Great man-to-man by Duke. They Used it the entire ball game. Oklahoma switching from man-to-man to zone.
Watson throws a mighty screen, and they get it to Bowie, but deep in the corner. McAllister off the fake, gets inside on Amaker. And cleaning up with an offensive rebound is Kennedy, and now it is Oklahoma showing the way off the glass.
And doing it with good inside play, Kennedy and Johnson.
Amaker. They'll get a second chance.
Quick hands by Johnny Dawkins on that loose ball.
Here is Dawkins, top of the circle.
Dukes had a hard time getting the flow of offense themselves.
Allery.
He likes that step-out jumper. Squares up to the basket beautifully. Instead of having his feet crossed, he has his feet square, and very difficult to do to catch it and square up at the same time.
Here's Johnson. He was red hot in the first half, and he keeps it up. He is now 11 of 13 from the field here this afternoon. A remarkable performance.
That's the one area that Duke does not have a stopper, which is a shot blocker in the middle if they go up against a guy that gets hot from the post.
Dawkins. Henderson.
Doing it from the perimeter. When we get a chance, Brent, we want to show that circle down there, which was the line for the short three-point play in the ACC. Some of you people can see it superimposed there on the court. It's still down. They weren't able to get it all up off the floor, but that's where the three-point play was in ACC ball a couple of years ago. Experimental distance.
Kennedy. Johnson rebounds. He's coming inside again. They can't stop him.
Again, no block out on Johnson. He's using that wide body.
7:47 in there, isn't it?
Allery wanting that ball. He got very aggressive. Watson wasn't quite ready for it and picked up a cheap foul. That's why you cannot relax when you're guarding a man in the post, even if the ball's 35 feet away.
Eddie Sutton wins another one in the Southeast.
Boy, doing a great job. He's going to be up for Coach of the Year honors in the national level.
Becker didn't get the roll. Kennedy out-hustled Duke for the ball, and the Sooners come back down on the attack. McAllister with a fine pass to Kennedy.
You noticed in the first half, Duke was constantly beating Oklahoma back. Now it's the other way around.
Kansas, of course, will play the Sooners Monday night in Norman, Oklahoma. Henderson.
Made a tough shot out of it. Now, he used the backboard with his other hand to kind of gain control again because he's a little bit off balance.
Henderson gambled. Kennedy with the shot.
Kennedy likes that range. Ran about 12 to 15 feet. He's deadly with that short jumper.
Kennedy 5 of 10 on the afternoon. The foul is going to go against Bowie.
Now, the reason for that call, Bowie was spread way out, not in a normal defensive stance. Johnny Dawkins was just trying to make a normal away from the ball move, and being spread out as Bowie is, you'll see him right here. That is not a normal defensive position to have your arms spread that wide, and that's why the call went against him. Kind of preventive refereeing right there to making sure that it doesn't get into a push-shove contest. Duke's getting lucky in the loose balls.
Henderson.
One of the things about this team, really everybody is capable of having the big game. The same holds true for Oklahoma. They've got 6 guys that have scored over 20 points in a game.
So we've got an officials timeout at the 16-minute mark. It's a 6-point Blue Devil lead. BS Sports. Well, a very well-known name is a student here, and that is the son of former Miami Dolphin great Nick Bonaconte. There is Nick Bonaconte Jr. There, of course, was a tragedy in that family last football season when Nick's brother, Mark Bonaconte, was paralyzed, and I know that he is watching down from a hospital bed in Miami. And Mark, your brother wanted to pass along his best wishes, and I'm sure you noticed, Mark, how well your brother has learned how to dress here at Duke.
Could you imagine him having the nerve at Christmas saying, Mom, I got to have some new threads? I mean, that's
He
true.
asked not to be put on television. He said, my father won't send me any more money for clothes.
But, you know, if you look around this student body, now I know they're here to play, but you'd have to wonder what most of them are spending on clothes, because if you don't have a beat-up pair of pants and an old sweatshirt, you can't get in this gym.
Bowie dribbles across the timeline for Oklahoma. They're down by 6. We've got 15:50 to go. Watson, who started the second half. Davis did not. He opened the game. Kennedy slips. Ball is stolen by Dawkins, and here it comes.
Now, Watson, not a smart play to go down there. You know Johnny Dawkins can explode on the layup.
Johnson, he can't miss. He's 13 of 15.
Having a day, having a career.
Bounces off of Ferry on the turnover. And the Sooners can edge to within 4 points. They once trailed by 23 in the first half.
And taking Davis out of the game, what Billy Tubbs got is a good lineup in there for rebounding. Smallest man in the court's McAllister at 6'3", and he's a good athlete.
And Bowie, 25, who has the ball, is an excellent ball handler. The foul is down away from the ball. It's going to go against Johnson that time. That is his third personal foul.
That's a tough break for Oklahoma. Johnson just going ahead in there and putting a body on Allery, gets caught. Moving screen.
That's legal for Switzer.
Johnson can put a body on him. That listed at 230. Might weigh a little more than that.
He's already got his career high here. 27 points for the Sooners. Henderson puts it down, penetrates to the glass.
He's been coming up with the big baskets just when Oklahoma ready to get down to 4. McAllister really
McAllister wanted it all the way. He threw the personal, a chance for the three-pointer.
He challenged Amaker all the way down the court. Tommy Amaker going for the steal. Figured he could take it away from McAllister. We're looking at, in McAllister, a kid that last year led the Big 8 in steals. He's got great anticipation. Came off that very serious knee injury to pull himself back. Said it's the biggest thrill he had in sports is to overcome the injury. They list in an Oklahoma program what's the biggest thrill in sport. I think 3 or 4 of the Oklahoma kids talk about shattering a glass backboard. It's kind of an interesting thrill. Everything revolves around the dunk.
Off the fake, and Bowie stuck right with Dawkins, and here's the turnover. Bowie from behind his back.
Again, the distance Henderson had to throw that ball. He kind of telegraphed it.
One-on-one. Bowie missing. That mountain saved by the Sooners, and here's McAllister.
Down to
As we
3.
think about the Sooners in the NCAA, McAllister will not be able to play in the first game. He was suspended last year because of an incident. He must sit out the first game of the tournament.
Duke getting a little hesitant out here. Great comeback by Oklahoma.
Henderson.
And you know, Oklahoma's also taken the fans out of this game, Brent.
Amaker with a blocking foul on McAllister. And of course, near the conclusion of this NCAA basketball broadcast, Billy and I will select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player. And Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school.
Mike Krzyzewski has switched Johnny Dawkins now and taken Tommy Amaker off McAllister. Good play by Oklahoma, getting it right back.
You saw Ron Roberts, who had checked into the game for Oklahoma. They get it into Kennedy on the turnaround. He rises up and hits it 62-59. The Sooners hanging tough in Durham.
Brent, you wonder where was the inside game for the first 8-10 minutes of the ball game.
Ferry ships it back to Amaker. Here's Dawkins.
Good ball movement. Danny Ferry made that. He's an excellent passer for a big man. Sees the court really well. Wide open.
Wide open. They've made a mistake defensively, and Oklahoma burns them with Ron Roberts getting his first field goal. He is out of Union City, New Jersey.
Against Colorado in 28 minutes, he had a 27-point game, so certainly capable of scoring. Clear out for Dawkins.
King gets it into Perry. The freshman off the dribble.
He hasn't missed a shot in a week. Good pump fake. Used his body well.
12:19 to go here in regulation.
Duke goes zone for the first time.
Johnson, and he keeps that hot hand. That's his 14th field goal in 16 shots.
The Duke students can't believe it, and you know the transition baskets that came for Duke so well in the first half, they've been non-existent.
Dawkins. It's McAllister with the rebound. They can edge to within a point.
Duke stays in the 2-3 zone. Ferry in the middle. That's a good pull-up by McAllister that time. They have a tendency to want to keep forcing it in.
Bowie. They've made up 22 points. Look at that Oklahoma bench and the fans who have traveled with them from Norman. They were down by 23. Now they have battled back. They trailed Duke by only a point.
Today's game between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Duke Blue Devils is sponsored by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like Mazda value. The U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. And by Allstate. For home, auto, business, health, and life, you're in good hands with Allstate.
David Johnson, the junior from Kansas City, with 29 points. He's in the law enforcement school down in Norman, Oklahoma. His hobbies, karate and playing the saxophone. A multi-talented young man who is having a career here this afternoon against the Duke Blue Devils. This is the closest they've been all game. Billis on the reverse from underneath, and it's back to 3 for the Blue Devils.
Coach Krzyzewski calling that timeout, making his team get in a set pattern, and now they go back to their man-to-man.
And Bowie was fouled by Henderson. They go to OT in what would be a huge upset. Army and Navy tied. Georgia Tech leading Maryland. Maryland has lost a lot of games. In fact, they're probably the best team I've seen that has lost so many close games this year. I was over there Thursday night when they upset North Carolina. Lenny Bias is as good a player as I've seen this year in a college game.
Another club kind of on the fence in the NCAA tournament in this league is North Carolina State. If Johnson would have hit that one, I would have gone home. That was a tough shot. But North Carolina State on a little bit of a tough situation. They've got some big games to play with North Carolina coming up next. A real on-the-fence type club, as is Maryland.
Henderson will take the ball out of bounds for Krzyzewski.
Then we see Billy Tubbs on the side there. I think we mentioned this early in the game. He's the kind of coach that's got the moxie to come in and play in a place like Duke University, and his players feel it. Goes into a little zone.
Henderson couldn't get an opening. Dawkins will take it.
There's a case where the defense just had a lapse. Dawkins, a player who's a great scorer, has the ball in his hand, makes the ball fake. There's no reason for a defender ever to leave him. He's the most important guy on the floor when he's got that ball. Great fake.
McAllister. And a fine rebound by Roberts, but there was a foul underneath on Danny Ferry.
Roberts was considered one of the top big men in junior college basketball last year. I think we're going to see with the new Proposition 48 junior college basketball coming back, Brent. At one time, you could go out to Hutchinson, Kansas for the national championship in junior college ball and see some of the great players in the country. That's kind of fallen off of late. Roberts, of course, one of the best around. Bowie was one of the great JC players. But we'll see a lot more recruiting in the junior colleges in a few years.
Shooting into the teeth of that student body. He makes 1 of 2. And Watson returns for Coach Tubbs to the lineup.
You know, we've been talking a lot about number 1. Duke has been number 1 before. 79 and 80, they were number 1. They were 12 and 0. Then they dropped 2 quick games, one to Clemson and one to North Carolina, and fell out of there.
Foul on Kennedy. That's Kennedy's 4th personal foul.
Tough break for Billy Tubbs. He's probably going to have to stick with his zone the rest of the way now just to protect Kennedy. Everybody bouncing. There's Kennedy on the reach. Offside official made the call.
The officials here this afternoon are from the ACC. When they struck the deal originally, they were going to split the crew, and then the contract arrived at Oklahoma, and Coach Tubbs was not there. So all 3 refs are from the ACC. Billis rising up. He drew the personal foul on that field goal attempt, and he'll come to the free throw line for a pair.
There's a reach-in foul. It's either going to be called on Watson or Bowie. Johnson saying to the officials, hey, guys are banging me pretty well inside also.
Speaking of banging inside, Billy, we'll see some tomorrow.
Yeah, those
Syracuse
two teams
will host Georgetown.
They like to go after each other. Pearl Washington's had a super last couple of weeks. Let's see if he continues.
Now, the young man returning, I think, helped restore Oklahoma's confidence. Dave Seeger. He's a sophomore out of San Bernardino, California. And we entered this game in the first half. They were down by 23. And slowly but surely, they battled their way back in it.
Good point, Brendan. He didn't do it by making a lot of baskets. He did it by setting some sort of order to the basketball team in both half-court offense and defense.
He gave them that second pass. So frequently early, Oklahoma would shoot after one pass. Seeger will try to flow the ball through his teammates.
That's a good screen on Dawkins.
He rolled off the screen. It was open, but McAllister didn't get it to him. Offensive foul on that pick and roll. Seeger should have been going to the glass.
Good call by the official. There's that rule of verticality. Billy King having the right to the air up above his head. You see McAllister go right in. Now King holds his hands up straight. McAllister bangs into him.
Right underneath the basket. Yep. They've got to get him the ball in that situation.
You notice Oklahoma staying in the zone, even with Kennedy out of there. Wonder how long Billy King can afford, or Billy Tubbs can afford to have him out of there.
Dawkins off the fake, gives it up to Henderson. Henderson off the penetration for the free throw line.
Boy, Henderson has made some big baskets, and that was good defense by McAllister.
Now Bowie comes down with a little one-on-one, and Seeger is there, taps it back in.
Oklahoma will not die, hanging in here very well. Got the big game coming up against Kansas on Monday. It's not like this has been a picnic for him.
Dawkins has it knocked free by Bowie, but Bowie fouled him.
Bowie realized he got some of the arm. That was a 4-point turnaround potential.
Now, Oklahoma is in serious foul trouble. That's number 4 on Bowie. Kennedy is out there with 4. Johnson has 3, and McAllister 3.
Billy Tubbs looking down at Kennedy. Kennedy wanted to go back in the ball game, trying to get coach's attention. With 8 to go, Billy probably trying to wait till the 6-minute mark to get Kennedy back in, but he wants to stay tight. Dawkins, an excellent free throw shooter, and gets to the line often. That's about his 130th foul on the year, shooting almost 86%.
You know, it's almost a shame that they foul youngsters out of basketball games instead of assess them an extra penalty and leave them on the floor. It changes the game so radically when you lose those stars. McAllister on the spinning move. He is fouled that time. Dawkins disagreeing with that call, his second personal.
That was almost the same move that David Rivers at the other end of the court put on Johnny Dawkins last Sunday, and Dawkins came up with a block, but you can see McAllister at 6'3" was able to go over Dawkins. Brent, that particular rule that you mentioned is something that I got my questionnaire from Ed Stites last week of proposed new changes in the rule, and that's one of the things that is going to be looked at very closely. One shot! And I'm in favor of that. It's the only sport that you eliminate a ball player for mistakes. Could you imagine it in football if a guy was offsides 4 times, you'd take him out and you're not allowed to replace him?
8:39, it's a 5-point Duke lead. If the Blue Devils win, they undoubtedly will be voted #1 by the AP, the UPI, and also probably the USA Today, certainly. Now, and a hand on the ball, and here come the Sooners.
That was Watson coming out with a good block and all ball.
Bowie.
Downtown shot. We said at the top of the show, Bowie can play all three positions, small forward, point guard, or second guard. And he also defensively can play those three positions well.
Inside to Allery. Great defense. Johnson coming over to help out that time.
Oklahoma's in excellent physical shape, but they haven't had many substitutions. You know they've got to be wearing down slightly.
Watson finally gets it to McAllister. McAllister off the head fake, and Duke comes down with the rebound.
You notice Duke has not tried to get the fast break going off the missed shot at all. That's what got them the big lead in the first half. They really were running well.
And Oklahoma has taken a rebounding lead here. It is 28-25, the team totals. Early, Duke had a big lead, and Henderson with another important field goal. Henderson has scored 14 points in the second half.
And Duke is leading the Atlantic Coast Conference in rebound margin.
Johnson turning around, and now he's 0 for his last 2.
Well, there's the fast break opportunity.
Dawkins back to Henderson, who's coming through, and he was fouled. Seeger.
But still, Seeger hustling back well. That was an easy 2 points if he's not going in, working his way back defensively.
We mentioned earlier that Johnny Dawkins had his number 24 retired prior to the start of this game. Only 2 other players in Duke history have had their numbers retired. Number 10, Dick Grote. Number 43, Mike Gminski. And last week, Gminski made a gift of $100,000 to Duke University, and that will be an endowment scholarship. So a young man who achieves wealth in the National Basketball Association with the New Jersey Nets, he returns some of what he got out of Duke in the form of a scholarship, and that is a tremendously nice gesture by Gminski.
Where did you read that, Brent?
I was told that by our
right.
executive producer, Kevin O'Malley.
That's one of the things really annoys me about where we're coming from as the media. And I'm talking about the fellas on TV as well as in the newspaper. That gets buried. Somebody does something on a negative side, and that's front page news. I mean, that's a great thing that Mike did. And other athletes have done that around the country as well.
Well, here's something, Billy, talking about rules. Watch the number of violations on a free throw.
Everybody jumping in that lane. Now, you're not supposed to be in the paint until that ball hits the rim. Obviously, you can see that, what do we have? 6 fellas all in the lane.
We'll return to Cameron Indoor Stadium after these messages from your local station.
Oklahoma Sooners and the Duke Blue Devils is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. Your Blue Cross and Blue Shield plan, who remind you to carry the carrying card. And by United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.
Billy, there are 4 major Midwest independents. Notre Dame will get into the NCAA. Marquette at 16-8, you would think. But, of course, they've got to play Notre Dame a big one next week. You've got Dayton at 16-10, DePaul at 15-10. Do you think all 4 will get into the tournament?
I think they have a good chance. They really do. They've taken on competitive schedules. I think they have a shot.
We'll see Notre Dame against Marquette in the first game of our doubleheader. Some of you will also watch Boston College against Villanova. And then our doubleheader matchup, the Fighting Illini of Illinois will take on Bobby Clemens' Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. That game will start at 4 p.m.
What I think you'll also see, Brent, on those 4 teams, there's been so much talk about them forming some form of a conference. They'd make a pretty good nucleus of a league.
Sure would. Kennedy gets it to Watson, and there's a blocking foul.
Excellent call. Johnny Dawkins late getting to the spot.
Dawkins, 3rd personal, and Allery returns to the Blue Devil lineup.
You can see, although Duke has been playing aggressive man-to-man, and Oklahoma's still not in the 1-and-1. Now they're back there playing a little zone. Allery back in the game.
They are really mindful of Johnson down low, trying to give a lot of help so that the Sooners do not get the ball down to him around the glass. He has to come out. and he's 0 for 2. Bowie, after really tearing up that Blue Devil defense, that's Henderson being assessed the personal.
Trent, what Henderson did there is go for the ball instead of putting a body on his man first. And you see all the great rebounders. As an example, I love to watch Larry Bird, who you know, can't jump, doesn't have the great foot quickness, but he's always got a body on a man before he worries about going after the ball. That's what Henderson didn't do that time.
This is the 10th free throw being shot by Oklahoma. They are 6 of 9. Duke, meanwhile, is 17 of 22 at the line.
Kenny, a good, solid, all-around ball player. Had a high this year of 41 against Colorado State. You don't see many guys scoring over 40 points in a game anymore. Used to be, you think Petey Maravich, he averaged over 43 a game for his career. Set. What a catch!
What a great catch underneath.
What a catch! You know, he put the afterburner on. It didn't look like he judged it properly and then just gave that extra spurt. Set play.
Foul, and it's on Mark Allery. That's his first. Let's take a look at that remarkable catch here by Dawkins.
There's the clear out. Now Dawkins goes up, kind of misjudged it. Looked like he just hung up there for a split second longer to get that shot off.
There are several NBA scouts here, including Jerry Colangelo, the general manager of the Phoenix Suns, and one of the players he has been looking at is guard Johnny Dawkins. He had to be impressed with that move.
Then you have a fellow in a dual role, Bob Ferry, here to watch from a professional scouting standpoint, but also to watch his son Danny play.
I wouldn't trust his scouting ability in this game. I know who he's got to be watching.
Clock starting to become an opponent for Oklahoma. Good team movement.
Henderson almost lost it. The Oklahoma bench wanted traveling. Duke brings the shot clock down toward 10 seconds, and there is Allery.
Allery was camped in that lane for what might have been about 6 or 7 seconds.
I can't remember the last time 3 seconds was called in a college game.
Well, we've got 3 officials out there. You'd think somebody would be able to watch it every once in a while. Crowd getting back into it. Oklahoma silenced them with that great run they had to get back in this ballgame.
McAllister.
Good shooter. Seems that every time Duke goes for the overplay pass, Oklahoma can get the pass over their hands. And here's the pass into Allery from Dawkins. Allery had been camped in that lane. Tough job for Kennedy, who has 4 fouls on him.
Got a timeout with 4:43 to go. 83-76. From Durham, North Carolina, I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer as the Blue Devils attempt to become the #1 ranked team in the nation. They lead Oklahoma 83-76. They had built a 23-point lead. The Sooners have come rushing back, each team with 2 timeouts remaining in the final 4:43. The possession arrow, of course, you can see pointing in the direction of whom, Mr. Packer?
I'm going to say that's Duke because that's superimposed. I can't see it from here. Normally, we're looking at the arrow.
We are up here in the rafters, so there is no way in the world that we can tell what direction it's pointing.
How about west? It's pointed west, huh?
Is that the way that there we are? You can see how high we are. It's a nice vantage point up here, though. We can see the plays develop.
You know, I don't think any losers come out of this game. The Big 8 looks good here because Oklahoma coming in doing very well. Even if they were to lose this game, Duke certainly hadn't hurt themselves any in regard to the pollsters.
Dawkins slices inside. Pretty play. Oh, Johnny Dawkins.
Perfect English on that shot to get it to go in. Cool shooter.
Bowie comes back with his one-on-one act.
Well, we said this game would be in the 80s.
4 minutes to go. It's 85-78. offensive foul. No field goal.
Excellent defense by Watson. That's the same play as we had on the other end when McAllister was called. You like officials to be consistent. Straight up goes Kennedy. Good job all the way around defensively. Excellent call by the official.
Now, this is a big trip for the Sooners. If they can get a field goal here, they will move to within 5. And a check on the scorer's table tells us that that possession arrow is pointing toward the Sooners. Loose by Amaker, run down though by Bowie. They go to the trap on him. He gets it out to McAllister, and here's Johnson, and he loses it. Henderson comes back. Bowie from behind, and he ran him down. McAllister returns it, gets it back, ships it into Johnson, who's low, misses it, comes back with a miss, and goes 0 for 2.
Tough break for Oklahoma. They had a 3-on-1 break. Could not capitalize. I think Johnson was kind of surprised that pass came over to him at the last instant. Now Duke going to spread it out, go a little 4 corners of their own.
Now they can wind that clock down with each possession.
They did this against Notre Dame, and it came back to haunt them as the Irish made a good comeback last week.
That was a big missed field goal down here, Billy, by Johnson.
Well, it changed the strategy a great deal also. You notice Davis has not been back in the game for Oklahoma. A subtle move by Billy Tubbs, but it made his team so much bigger that it's really helped here in the second half.
A freshman makes a senior play. McAllister, he is short. The Blue Devils are in command. They are inching ever closer now to number 1. And Cameron is starting to erupt.
Good hands by Allery. Well, you can't put too much credit on a guy that can catch a ball. In any sport, the man with the good hands really has the advantage.
The shot clock is at 15.
Amaker was looking for the backdoor cut.
Allery.
Johnson kind of fell asleep there. Bowie wanted the timeout, too late to call it. It's in Duke's possession. Billy Tubbs saying to the official he wanted that timeout, but the players did not get over to the official before Duke had an opportunity to put it in bounds. Almost got a foul, Brent.
Yes, indeed, you are number 1, Duke. Without a struggle here this afternoon. Duke had opened up a 23-point lead, and a courageous Sooner rally brought them to within 1 point. And then the Blue Devils, senior leadership under Coach Mike Krzyzewski, took charge again, and now they are headed for number 1 in the polls. It's not the poll they want to be number 1 in. Billy Tubbs, of course, must regroup after this tough loss He was also beaten on the road by Nebraska. And on Monday night, he has a big one against Kansas, back home in Norman. The student body here in Durham, North Carolina now will chant it on down in the final 40 seconds. Louis' field goal makes it 91-82. Henderson. Duke's ball again. Henderson fouled, and he'll come up to the free throw line. That's the fourth personal on Johnson, who enjoyed a remarkable first half and cooled off some in the second for Coach Tubbs. But still in all, he is 14 of 20 and a total of 29. By Henderson. It'll go to the Sooners. Johnson. So the clock is stopped with 3 seconds remaining, and Duke leading 93-84. We'll be right back in a moment.
Hey, Joe, look who's here. Network.
Listening to the Duke student body at this moment is somewhat like sitting on the edge of a volcano. I think the students enjoy being number one more than the athletes. It's a tiny gymnasium on the Duke campus here in Durham, North Carolina, and it's always a great scene to see the students camped out in their tents on the night before the game because it's first come, first served. And then they storm through those doors and take the seats all around the arena. And today they watched their beloved Blue Devils climb to number one in the polls because North Carolina was upset at home by Maryland on Thursday night. Our Chevrolet players of the game, David Johnson of Oklahoma, who turned in a great performance, 31 points and 10 rebounds. David Henderson, underrated player on that Duke team, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 18 of those points in the second half. And a check of the amount of $1,000 goes to each college's general scholarship fund from Chevrolet. Let's go down to the floor. Here's Billy Packer. Billy.
Thanks an awful lot, Brent. Mike, tough ball game. Of course, your fans going crazy here, figuring you're in the number one driver's seat for this.
Well, we just feel real fortunate to beat an excellent Oklahoma team. That's exciting college basketball, Billy. CBS got a good match this afternoon.
One of the things I want to ask you, the first half, Oklahoma has been falling way behind, but you know they're an explosive team offensively. You went through an awful lot of substitutions early. Did you think you could wear them down?
We thought we might wear them down, but they're like a heavyweight fighters. You think that they look tired, but they give you a knockout punch. That's where their experience comes into being. And that's why I think they can go an awful long way in the NCAA.
One of the things that you had in the second half, again, is David Henderson coming up with basket after basket, just big plays. He's been doing it all year.
I really think that Henderson was the key to our ball game. They have a tough time matching up with David. And when they're covering Allery and Dawkins, it gives them a little room to operate. and that's all David needs. He made some big buckets.
The set play that you fellas used for Johnny Dawkins on that lob, is that something you call off the bench?
Yeah, we set that up at the timeout. It's nice that they remembered it, because in a game like this, you get pretty tired, and Tommy gave him a great pass. That was a big play.
One of the things you talked about yesterday, I thought you were so cool and very honest in regard to your appraisal of the polls. Since we have a playoff that's won on the court instead of in the newspaper, of course, you don't have the pressure like the football guys have. But what can this mean to your program and to your players to be in that kind of position going down the stretch drive now?
Well, the main thing we're interested in being #1 in the ACC. You know that from being in this area. As far as winning a game like this, we're concerned about seeds in the NCAA. But this team has been a nationally ranked team for 3 years, so they know how to handle that stuff.
Well, Mike, there have been some big upsets around the country today, which you don't know about yet, but we'll let you go back to the locker room on that one. Right, congratulations, good luck to you, and Brent, back up to you.
All right, Billy, thank you very much. The two upsets today, Memphis State and St. John's, both are beaten. Now, here it is 93-84. Duke comes away with a win that will boost them to #1 in all of the polls next week. But as Coach Krzyzewski said, there are other things more important to this basketball team than simply being ranked #1 in a week. Today, well, the Blue Devils came out smoking in the early going. They opened up a 23-point lead, and that followed a ceremony at the start of the game where they retired the uniform number of Johnny Dawkins. And Dawkins went out here this afternoon and enjoyed a big afternoon. And once again, the final score is Duke 93, Oklahoma 84. For Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger saying so long for North Carolina. Remember, join us tomorrow at high noon for the Lakers and 76ers. Then immediately following, it's Georgetown and Syracuse. NCAA basketball is a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the NCAA Championship. A day to remember by Johnny Dawkins, who rose in the air to make the catch and scored 2 of his 20 points. And number 24 will never be worn by another basketball player here at Duke. It has been retired. And indeed, the Blue Devils are #1. So long, everybody.